Every now and again, I see a miniature that I have no business buying, but I absolutely positively must have. The last time this happened was for the game Star Wars Shatterpoint, specifically the We Are Brave Your Highness battle pack, which included Queen Amidala in her Phantom Menace look. And the Phantom Menace might be my favorite Star Wars. I mean, Star Wars 77 is like a watershed movie, and Empire Strikes Back is a masterpiece. But the Phantom Menace might be my favorite, and I had to paint some classic Phantom Menace minis. I mean, if they make them, I have to get them. And recently, I had another little incident like that. I am an enjoyer of Halo, and I got this. This is Halo Flashpoint by Mantic, and I was kind of excited for this game. It's built on the bones of a game I really enjoy, Mantic's Dead Zone, and so I knew it would be fun. But when I saw the Spartan edition came with some of the Covenant units, I got really excited because as it turns out, my dreams have been realized. I can have an elite with the Needler. I got this bad boy a couple years ago, and it's been so much fun. It feels so good in the hand, and by good, I mean incredibly uncomfortable because it's an alien handle, but it's worth it for the weight and the feel of this sucker. And this is something that I've gotten to experience in real life, and so now I want to experience it again in the miniature form. I've been waiting a long time for this little mini, and he's finally in my hands. But first things first, Mantic stuck a base on this guy's feet. I appreciate the thought, but I can do my own bases, thank you very much. I took my wire cutters and hacked away the base using my Dremel tool to get rid of the leftovers. I had to go slow and carefully, so I didn't start sanding away his alien toes, but eventually the remaining base fell away, and now I need to make my own. These Halo Flashpoint minis stand on actual 32mm bases. Games Workshop's 32s are exactly 32mm wide, but they have the sloped sides that reduce the actual standing room. For this elite, since he's so big, I decided to go with a 40mm Games Workshop base, and I'll probably put my Spartans on Games Workshop 32s. I started cleaning up the mini. This guy is cast in PVC, which is kinda yucky. I found I could either go really slow with the scraping or carefully slice away the mold lines. With my mini prepped, I started prepping the base, gluing down some 1/4-inch cork, and then I dremeled the surface to make it uneven. I glued down some of the extra scraps to act as a tactical rock, and because he's so big and his feet are so small, I decided to pin his feet. I have found pinning so much easier now that I bought a pack of 1mm brass rod. I used to use paper clips before, and every paper clip is a slightly different size, so it would either not fit in the hole my 1mm Dremel made, or it would be too loose, but the brass is consistent. I stuck him down and put a little super glue under the base, and now he's not going anywhere. For that base, I'm thinking a dry desert would look good under his crazy alien colors. I broke out my crackle medium, which always looks incredibly gross all separated. I had to give it a good stir. I spread this in thick globs on the lowest parts of the base, and then while it was still wet, I took some sand texture paint and applied this everywhere else, mixing it into the crack medium when it was still wet. After a night of drying, the cracks formed, and I went and put on a second layer of texture paste, making it spill over onto the cracks so that everything looked more natural. Then I threw some small rocks onto the ground to make it look more barren, putting a little texture paste on these too. Now I've got my Sangheili all based up, and I'm not in love with the cracks, but I have a hypothesis on what happened. So while this guy was drying, I put together 2 more elites, and on these bases, I've got the cork, and then I put down a layer of PVA glue, and then I put on the crackle medium. And on these bases, I got just a few really big cracks. And I feel like this isn't perfect either, but it confirms a hypothesis. So this paint shrinks while it dries, and that top layer that's exposed to the air dries a little bit faster, and so as it constricts, it breaks apart. And because there was nothing between it and the cork, I think that cork ended up absorbing a lot of the moisture as it dried, and so it led to many tiny cracks. Where on these bases, because of that PVA barrier, I ended up with just a few really big cracks. I think the perfect sweet spot is to do the PVA, but then put on actually a very thin layer of this stuff, and then I think you would end up with quite a few medium cracks, which is what I was going for. I would like to run a bunch more experiments with this stuff. I just gotta think about it. Maybe I'll sleep on it. And I'll be doing that sleeping on today's sponsor. After a hard day of painting, I need a hard night of sleeping. But my old mattress isn't what it used to be. Luckily, Helix Mattress is here to help. Helix Mattress has fantastic mattresses and makes getting the right mattress easy with their sleep quiz. A quick questionnaire to determine what mattress is right for you. After I took it, Helix recommended the Moonlight Luxe, and I can't agree more as someone who loves a soft mattress. After a week of trying out my new Helix mattress, I can say I've noticed my sleep has gotten noticeably better. And all the other bed activities have gotten more comfy too. Curling up with my lap desk and crushing a new codex, doing some drawing, or getting a new ship unlocked in FTL. The Moonlight Luxe mattress feels light and soft to the touch and was a breeze to set up. As someone who loves a soft mattress, this one was perfect for me, and it was a relief to finally be rid of my ancient old mattress. Helix has lots of options to choose from, whether you want to sleep on a cloud like me or have something a bit firmer for back support. Or tailor your mattress for side or stomach sleeping. Helix has got you covered. There's plenty of custom options too. I decided to go for the cooling cover option, and I've noticed the difference. Now when I wake up in the morning, I feel refreshed and ready to go all over again for a long painting session. No more droopy eyes, no more sloppy work, no more thinking about falling asleep at my painting desk. A Helix sleep mattress is a great investment in your sleep. And they're having a big sale. Right now you can catch the end of the flash sale to save yourself 27%. Otherwise, their New Year's sale can save you 20% if you shop now for a limited time. As part of the sale, you can get 2 free pillows with your mattress absolutely free. Again, the sale is a limited time offer, so click the link in the description below to head on over to their website to get yourself a better night's sleep today. I'm really excited to get to paint this mini. I have wanted him in my collection for almost a year. After a black prime, I zenithal this mini with white ink from above. Even though the mini is PVC and with slightly fuzzy details, I think the zenithal is showing off his silly video game shape nicely. For base coats, I'm thinking speed paints. I found this dark green that'll work perfectly for his undersuit. I want that slightly green tinge so my alien is really color saturated, even on the boring gray parts. For the armor, the elites have a mostly blue with a tinge of shimmery purple armor. To try to replicate this, I started with a bright blue speed paint. This was a little tricky because speed paint likes to flow. I had to be pretty precise so I didn't end up flooding any spots that shouldn't be blue. That flowiness though did help me work quick and take advantage of that zenithal. Once that was dry, I used the speed paint purple to make my shadows vibrant, brushing this on and then quickly coming back in with a clean damp paintbrush and feathering it out. I thinned down the purple so that this could be done in a few layers so I could really control how vibrant this purple got. Now he's looking good, but I really want that shimmery 2004 awkward polygon look, so I decided to do some highlights. I took a bright blue paint, mixed in some white so it was just a little bit brighter than the brightest spots of my contrast paint, and glazed this on, working lighter and lighter, coming back in with glazes of blue. To get this armor to look shiny blue, I need to end up with a majority blue, with some dark blue and purple shadows, and just a little bit of light blue and white highlights. This took a while, but was really fun to do. It's like non-metallic metal, but the metal is alien metal, so it's blue. Would a military uniform typically be reflective blue? Probably not, but it makes for a great game when you can actually see the bad guys. I did some more edge highlights of light blue and a few specular dots of pure white as the most reflective spots. With the blue done, I went back in with some gray paint to highlight the few spots of his undersuit showing through. I didn't do too much of this, the blue armor really steals the show. After I got the speed paint base colors on there, I wasn't necessarily feeling it, but now that it's all highlighted up and like 90% of this mini is done, I'm really pleased with this guy. And now I get to paint the needler, the cherry on top. This is what it's all been about, and I'm a little crushed that these models are single piece PVC minis because I would have loved to kit bash this needler onto one of my Space Marines. I started off using a purple speed paint on the body of the needler and then thinning this color down to almost nothing and glazing it over the quills. For this needler, I put white, magenta, pink, and fluorescent pink onto my palette, and I started painting the needles. These needles are irregular in real life, so I want to try and recreate the random texture with paint. I started by putting random globs of pink all over the quills. Then I noticed these quills formed really poorly. I think I can save it with painting, but I did see a weird little nugget that I had to cut off with my hobby knife. Then I put dots of magenta randomly on the quills, and after that I did the same thing with white paint. I think this worked pretty well. I glazed my fluorescent pink over top, and then I started edge highlighting. These quills don't really have edges, so I just invented them drawing on straight lines around the edges. On the body of the needle pistol, I made a lot of little dots with magenta. The real life needler has a hex pattern on it, so I want to try to recreate this. After the magenta dots, I did dots of magenta mixed with a little bit of pink, and then I did another layer of slightly more pink. Then I did some careful edge highlights of pink to show off the weird alien shapes of the blaster. With the fun colors done, it was time for the little snoot of the rifle. I really like how the zenithal looks, so I just want to do some edge highlights, doing a few layers of brighter and brighter grays to outline this. Eventually, I got all the way to pure white, doing very sparing lines of this. I wish I could make all my models holding needle pistols. There should be a Halo upgrade frame with all the Halo 2 weapons. Now my mini is done, and I'm finding I'm actually rubbing off paint because of the soft PVC, so this guy needs a good varnish. I threw the Vallejo Mecha Varnish into my airbrush and gave him 2 thin coats. This will also make my colors just a little bit more vibrant because of the satin finish. He's an alien, so he can get away with being slightly glossy. I've got my 2 needlers here, and I was right, it was really fun to paint a small scale needler. I decided to go for a varnish on my Elite, and I go back and forth on varnishing my minis. I really do like this Vallejo Mecha Satin Varnish. This is my favorite varnish, and I've tried a bunch, but sometimes I don't varnish my minis because it does change the look a little tiny bit. But one of the reasons why I needed to varnish this sucker is because he's made of PVC. Out of all the different materials, PVC is definitely my least favorite, and that's one of the reasons why I really wanted to varnish this sucker, just to help give that paint another extra layer, because as I touch and move this guy around, he's gonna flex just ever so slightly, and I don't want that flex to lead to broken paint. Where with plastic or metal or resin, I feel like the material is tough enough that I don't necessarily have to varnish, but on this guy, I feel like I do have to. And that's just a step I am willing to take, because even though PVC is not my favorite, I can make it work if it means I get to shoot Sean in the face with the needle pistol. I mean, I've already shot him with the Nerf one, but I want to be able to do it again in miniature form. PVC might not be my favorite, but you know what is my favorite? EonsOfBattle.com. EonsOfBattle.com is the place to find our merch, like our new Nick and Jay dice, and the best way to support us doing what we do with a membership. Each month, members get a credit that they can use on our new monthly terrain pack or any previous pack we have ever made. For the month of January, we made the Fall Part 2, Guns, Big Guns. This set focuses on printable high-caliber ordnance ready to rock a battlefield. This set features the enormous battle cannon, a building-sized gun encased in a Gothic shrine for sending 100-pound shells into orbit, the sun cannon, an energy turret for throwing hot balls of glowing energy across the landscape, and the humble field artillery for mopping up whatever's left. This set perfectly complements the fall buildings and is the second of 3 sets focused on getting a proper 40k board up and running as easily as possible. It's time to finish off this alien with a nice Earth base. Or is this an Earth-like biome inside of one of the halos? I started off with a base coat of a nice saturated orange-brown, and while that was wet, I mixed in some light tan into the biggest cracks in the texture. After that, I gave everything a dry brushing, a light tan, and then did some really watery glazes of my original saturated orange. This saturated base looks lovely with my dark blue mini on top. The only thing it needs is a couple little gamer grass tufts. All that was left was some glossy black paint on the rims. I bought this little bottle of glossy black paint for 99 cents, and I have done well over 100 base rims with it. Oh, it feels really good to have this elite in my hand. This project has scratched an itch that started months and months and months and months ago when I first saw this mini on Mantic's website, and now it's in my hands, it's on my desk. And I've got 3 more elites to paint and 16 Spartans, and then I can get playing the game. And I am really excited for Halo Flashpoint because I really like the game it's built on. Mantic's Dead Zone is an excellent skirmish game with no measuring, which is a really interesting mechanic. The second wave of expansions has been shown off for Flashpoint, and it's pretty cool. It's more Spartans with some of the iconic Halo war gear, which is fine, but Mantic, if you're listening, if we're doing Halo, let's do Halo. I want more Covenant. I want to paint a Brute. I want to paint a Jackal. I want to paint a little gaggle of Grunts. I want the UNSC. I want the Banished. I want the Flood. I want all the different Halo goodies. Let's get big with it. Give me a Ghost. Give me a Warthog. Give me the ODSTs. Halo is such a deep well to mine from. You keep making miniatures. I'll keep buying them and painting them. And I will enjoy the spit out of playing these suckers on the tabletop. Let me know in the comments below, what do you guys think of Halo Flashpoint? Are you getting into it? Is it bringing up some fun, nostalgic memories? Are you waiting for the game to solidify just a little bit more before jumping on board? I want to know. But until then, I'm gonna be painting up some more Halo.